I think we're live, Reggie.
Yep.
Fantastic. Nice. Welcome to everyone joining. Where's everybody calling in from? Maybe we can activate the crowd a little bit. Leave it in the chat. Ooh, nice. Denver, New York, Sacramento. Oh, wow. East Coast, West Coast. How's the weather on the East Coast? How's the weather in Nashville, Tennessee? Oh, Ternopil. Wow. Cool. Let's give it another minute or two. Hot and humid. Yeah. It's getting I'm an SF and it's also surprisingly hot these days. Reggie, where are you calling in from?
Yes, I'm calling from sunny Los Angeles. So yeah, it's hot but dry.
Nice. Do you prefer dry or humid?
Well, I prefer humid, actually. Um, the dry air is a little bit too much for me. So
I
yeah.
guess you got to move to Nashville.
Oh, yeah, it'll be
No.
fun.
Cool. I think we're 2 or 3 minutes in. Let's slowly kick things off here. So, welcome to this webinar. The topic is quite clear. We're talking about primarily about migrations today. Um, just a quick round of introduction. I'm Franz, one of the solutions engineers here at Pylon. I'm the Pylon counterpart to that helps you migrate from your existing tool, be it Zendesk or any other tool. And then Reggie, who are you and why are you here today?
Yes. So yeah. Hello, everybody. My name is Reggie, and I'm happy to be here to share my experience with the migration process. We came from Zendesk, and we're very happy with Pylon. Just a little bit about myself. I'm the customer support manager at Good Time, so I lead our technical support team at Good Time. And just to give you guys an idea of what Good Time is, well, we do help recruiting teams eliminate the back and forth between interview scheduling, and we try to streamline the hiring process by automating like interview coordination, interview availability, so that companies can hire, top talent faster with less manual work.
Nice. And maybe you can dive into that. What kind of companies are you servicing, and how does your support structure look like, just in general?
So at Good Time, we have around, I would say, 300 accounts or customers. They range from being an enterprise customer and SMB customers as well. In terms of France, you were asking about the size of the support team, correct?
Mm-hmm. And exactly, and we will be diving into that later on, but just to give like a high level overview.
Yep. So the technical support team, there are, I would say, 15 support engineers, and they are broken down into level one, level two. So level one is our technical support engineers. Level two would be the escalation support engineers, and then level three is more on leadership, like myself. If it's already escalated beyond L2.
Okay, nice. And Good Time in itself, is it like just to get a better understanding how many people, or like approximately how big is Good Times? Is it more like 10 people or like 1,000 people? Where you sit in that range?
I would say we sit at around 70 to 100.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So sizable to some extent, um, not like a small YC company.
Yeah.
Um, cool. Thanks for these like introductory like information. Just wanted to frame the um next hour and introduce Pylon. So we will be diving really deep into what it actually looks like to leave Zendesk, how you came to that decision in the first place, and then your process from, okay, we are going to, like decide to switch vendors to you're live in Pylon. How does that journey look like? What, were the good, what were the bad, and like where, there weren't any bad because I did your migration. I'm just kidding, but what was maybe more challenging than what expected. Just to give a little bit of an overview of what Pylon does. Pylon is a support platform primarily for B2B, and I hope everyone I hope people that attend this webinar are familiar with that. We compete with Zendesk or Intercom, and I think what we are really good at is aggregating context and being like a modern version of a support platform that heavily leverages AI in all of our workflows, enabling our customers to leverage them for themselves. But enough of the advertising. Let's dive right in here with and also like for the crowd, everyone who has questions along the way, feel free to drop them in here. We will end after we have a chat. We will end with a Q&A where so you have both the option to leave your questions now as well as in the Q&A afterwards. We can get into cover those questions. Cool. Maybe to start off at the beginning, Reggie, what made Good Time realize it had outgrown Zendesk? Maybe you can walk me through like your decision-making process and how you ended up making a decision to switch vendors.
Yes, definitely. Happy to share some of the decision points that led to us looking for a different platform. Number one was functionality, and we were looking for a solution that had AI capabilities, whether it is streamlining processes and agentic AI that would hopefully be as a backup if we would need more help with serving our customers. And the second point was, I would say, the pricing as well. It was really hard for us to test some of the functionalities of Zendesk, but those were the two main points: the price and the innovations that we were noticing at Zendesk. It was really hard that there were limited functionality with AI and how we can use it and test it.
So one of the main pain points was AI. Did you leverage AI in Zendesk at all, or like not really? Is there any capability that you were making use of on the Zendesk side?
We were using the some of the AI agentic features, but it was really hard to navigate and customize it in
Mm.
the user interface, like how to train it and how to customize it. So that was a very, I would say, a painful point on how we would like I would say, the bot or the AI agent to interact with our customers.
Okay. That makes sense. We can talk about if that is being better handled in Pylon now, and I think I'm not saying too much, or like that it probably is better right now, or I hope so. Talk about your like, have you had any concerns with switching vendors, and was that something that like actively that actively went into your consideration and like, should I make the switch? Should I not make the switch? Were there any concerns with a potential migration?
When it comes to change, I think from my perspective, it's in any facet in life, change is a little bit different when you're really used to something. And
Yeah.
I've used Zendesk for close to 15 years already, and then switching and changing, the workflows that you're accustomed with Zendesk was hard. So when we decided to make the switch to Pylon, and friends, we've been discussing this back and forth when we
Mm.
were in some of the discovery calls, is the migration process. How will our data look like in Pylon? Will there be any? integrity issues, like will there be some tickets missed when we are migrating. So those were one of the, I would say, main points when we were, if we would push through with the migration to Pylon. Yeah, it was more on if it would look the same or if it's going to be better in Pylon.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense, and I think a lot that resonates with a lot of people, especially when it comes to change. It's like, oh yeah, this is kind of working. Like never touch a running system. It's
Yes.
there's a German saying about it, or maybe it's also English. So yeah, it totally resonates to me. To wrap this up, what I'm hearing is the main points in evaluating Pylon that were important for you were like AI, like more agentic flows, more AI capabilities. Um, eh, Anything else that stood out to you? Like maybe like, we have a bunch of integrations that integrate with Pylon. I don't know if those are also supported by Zendesk, or anything else that comes to mind before we move on to like the next topic.
Yes, definitely. When we talk about integrations, one of the main integrations, like my vision was, is to be able to integrate Salesforce, and I would say Zendesk at the time, but I think uh, it's not that seamless when we integrate both Salesforce and Zendesk. But to keep it high level, when we tried it out with Pilot, it was very seamless. It was very intuitive. Uh, and it was a smooth, I'll put it this way, it was like maybe a very smooth transition when it comes to setting up the mappings and everything. It was very straightforward and
Mm.
clear. And the second integration that we heavily use is Jira, and I can
Just
talk
a
more.
Yeah, that would be nice. Just for the audience, maybe what does the Salesforce integration do? Why do you need this with your support system, or like how do you leverage that? What does it enable you to do?
Yes, so there are a couple of fields in Salesforce that will be useful for the support engineer servicing a customer. One of the fields are ARR, like what's the value of the customer? Is it enterprise? Is it SMB? Who is the customer success managers if we need to loop them in? And also the churn risk, very
Yeah,
important, defined by the CSM. Is it red? Is it yellow or green? And that gives, I would say, a high level context when servicing customers.
yeah. And with the big plus that you don't have to switch tools, right? You have it all like in Pylon without having to go to Salesforce to look up these fields.
Correct.
Cool. And then you were talking about another integration.
The Jira integration, which is also working out well. There are specific when I first migrate or integrated Jira, there were functionalities that were very interesting, such as if a Jira ticket is in review, for instance, it will open up the Pylon ticket so that my escalation engineers can certify the fix and let our customers know. And that was missing in Zendesk. And that was a cool feature that I discovered with the, it's not just a integration like you just plug and play, but there are other cool features with that integration.
Nice, cool. Yeah, it sounds like that, like both of these make your life easier in um, spending more time in your support system and spending less time in like going to Jira to look things up or creating a ticket, as well as having direct feedback. Okay, the engineer solved this product ticketing issue or resolved this bug. I can directly reply to the customer without, you just have better visibility. Am I putting words in your mouth, or is that, can you confirm that?
It is. It's definitely that's the same sentiment, France.
Sweet.
I would say my support engineers can work in Pylon without switching platforms, like going to Salesforce or going to Jira, so they can focus on just one platform, which is Pylon, which is great.
Cool, nice. I see that we just covered slide one and two without actually showing slide two, but given that I think we everyone understands why the move was necessary and what you were looking for in Pylon. So let's get into the weeds. What did it actually take to migrate off Zendesk? Maybe you can walk me through, you know, your some of the requirements and you know how like with every migration I give this spiel about like different processes and different milestones. Let's fill in the audience and maybe you can like give me an overview of what your requirements were and what you were aiming to achieve there.
Yeah, so some of the requirements, I had a list of use cases that I shared with the solution engineer and also with you, France. There were a couple of folks that I spoke with, and uh, they were very great with demoing my use cases. And I can share one use case, or I would say workflow that was important to the team. So I would describe this as the chat flow or chat assignment. So let's say a customer uses a chat button. How it routes the L1 team is something that was important to me without me manually assigning. So that I worked with, friends. I think you know this well. Like we bounced a lot of
Yeah.
ideas on how to set up the business triggers, and it worked out very well. Like some use cases where, let's say, the first agent was served and it didn't respond for 30 or 40 seconds, we had to move it to the next available agent because that we had very strict first response SLAs. And in order for us to ensure that tickets were served in a timely manner, we had to figure out how to serve tickets. If in the first use case, if it was an idle agent, we had to move it, and so on and
Yeah.
so forth. So that was very important to me.
That sounds like a very like great offering for your customers and also somewhat sophisticated. I remember that we had a little bit of back and forth to figuring out the nuances here. But just to summarize, so essentially you have the chat widget like a chat button that opens up. It has live chat that you can immediately talk to an agent. And that like what are your support hours again? I think 24 hours, no?
Yes, we do 24/7.
Wow. So whenever I reach out, that's a pretty good so that's a pretty good SLA. So whenever I reach out to good time, someone will be there with me within a couple minutes, right?
Well, we try to aim by second, so we have a 40-second first response brief. So but the cool thing about with the triggers in Pylon, so let's say it breached for 40 seconds, it will route it to the next agent, um, because
Yeah.
that first agent might be at full capacity or busy with other chats, so it can map. It can route to the next agent. And the other cool thing here, friends, which I built out recently is if it has hopped to, let's say, the third agent and nobody is responding to it, so the customer's already sitting for around 2 minutes at that time, we route it to the AI agent and have that. So that's where we use the AI agent as a backup if nobody is available to serve, and that kind of keeps us within a healthy first response range with that help.
Yeah. That's great. I feel, Reggie, we could talk about this for another half an hour and nerding out about triggers as well as routing and setting up these processes within Pylon. I want to bring it back to a more high-level overview of, okay, usually we have three milestones in Pylon when we migrate customers, which is the process migration, your team migration, and then data migration. So just to give an overview, the process migration is what you just discussed, right? Like setting up your internal processes, like essentially the ticket journey from the ticket is being created in Pylon to it gets resolved, including potential escalations, potential flags, SLA breaches, everything that you need in order to service the customer in the right way, as well as like how do tickets get created, right? it's twofold. Like, where do we get the tickets from, and what do we do with them afterwards? So this is the process migration. The team migration is enablement. You like train up the team, you make sure that they are familiar with our interface. By the way, was that something that the team like, or what's the feedback on the new UI? I don't know, like they've been used to Zendesk, and I feel, as you said, change is always a little bit um, uncomfortable, I assume. How did they resonate with that?
They really liked the features of Pylon. It wasn't a big change for them. You guys did a great job on making, like, if I were an agent servicing tickets, it kind of looks similar to Zendesk, but more modern, I put it that way. Where
Oh,
it's
I'm happy to hear that. Good that you, yeah, I would be offended if you say if you would have left out the last sentence, but no, no, I'm just
no,
kidding.
like it's very
Yeah,
modern. Like
yeah,
it's very nice to work with. I would say the response. I would say like the lack of better, the refresh rate, like how it responds, like when I'm working as an agent and responding to customers switching of a different tickets, it's very like crisp. Whereas in
yeah.
Zendesk, there's a bit of a lag when we switch tickets, like when I would be servicing customers. So one more thing to point out, Franz, is the reasoning, AI reasoning. I think that's what you guys call it.
Mhm.
When I am a support engineer trying to help a customer, it already gives either articles or even past tickets on how to resolve it. And if you want to take it a step further, there is a sidebar that even has that AI capability of like prompts of like how would I troubleshoot this specific issue, or even um, what are past tickets or incidents that have occurred. So giving that context to my team whenever they service a customer is
Yeah.
very helpful.
And that's nothing that you had before, right? Or like not to that extent.
Yeah.
Um, stay. We are actively working on even improving these AI, or like the agentic side of Pylon more. So, um, you can be excited about what's to come in the next couple of weeks.
Nice.
Um, Cool. Okay, so now we talked about the process migration to some extent. We talked about the team migration. What about the data migration? I think this was also something that you were a little bit concerned of, like bringing over historical tickets. I think, like from experience, this is something that people usually think about a migration, that this is the most important part. It actually is not too much. It's just backfilling the tickets. But maybe you can talk about that a little bit more.
So to give everybody's insight, we did have 80,000 tickets based on the ID from Zendesk. And I was asking friends like, how would the migration work? We have a bunch or a large number of tickets. So I would say it's a very simple. I hate to make it very easy, but it's very simple. When I was meeting with you, oh, is that easy? Like mapping between the fields between Zendesk and Pylon, making sure that, for example, like if we track the product domain, like if I'm servicing a customer, like where in the product the customer had the issue, and several other fields. So it's very uh, seamless. It's very easy. When we were doing that part of the call, where which field in Zendesk maps to Pylon, and it was very
Yeah.
quick. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is one of the area where people are most concerned about, like, what happens with my historical tickets, and this is probably the most easy part and the quickest to set up. It's usually like half an hour of a call. We do the mapping, and then do a little demo migration where we migrate 20 tickets. You can look at them. Do they look valid? Is that, acceptable for you? And then we bring over the rest of it. Do you remember what kind of consideration I told you on, like, bringing all tickets over versus like maybe not bringing all tickets over? It's a
Yes,
little quiz.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That was really, I would say, a sticking point. Like I wanted to migrate all our tickets. and I believe we only migrated 80%, France, or maybe 70%. This was more because of what I was sharing a while ago about the AI reasoning, like surfacing past tickets. So Good Time, the product Good Time has evolved so much. We've shipped features almost every week, and it evolves very quickly. So a ticket maybe 5 years or 4 years ago might not be relevant today. So
Yeah.
that was the that was a strategy used, and that really made sense and resonated to me. Oh, okay, that makes sense. So we can bring in maybe 80 or 70% of those tickets from Zendesk to Pylon.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was getting at. Usually, or like as an insight, or my learning showed, or like experience showed that you customers come in and they're very concerned about bringing all their tickets in and maintaining that historical context, but that's actually not beneficial or disadvantageous for AI features. So having maybe like going back maybe 2 years, year and a
Right.
half, depending on how much your product changes, makes more sense. And then you still have like we still recommend downloading all of your Zendesk ticket for like historicals, like as a cold storage or whenever you need to have access to them, so you don't lose that um, traceability or like audit capabilities. Um, but you only want to have in Pylon what is useful. Same with like some customers have a lot of spam tickets or tickets that are actually, like not, they don't have any valuable uh, information on them, no good resolutions. We also don't want to bring that in because that would just muddy the water in that extent. Um, Okay, cool. Let's see. We talked about routing rules and triggers. Also, knowledge base. That's something we also just wanted to touch on that. Not sure if that's relevant for people in the audience, but the same way as we bring over tickets, we also bring over your knowledge base, which is also very smooth and seamless. Nothing that you would have to do manually. Um, let's talk about the let's talk about your timeline. This is a lot, like a lot of these questions come up um, pre-sales as well as in the first couple calls that I have with customers that they're like, oh, how long will this take? So how long, like, we now have a good understanding of your organization, of like your team that is, not tiny, also not large, but like kind of in the middle. So how long did it take for you, and um, yeah, maybe you can talk about that.
Yep, I can talk about timeline wise. France, if I can also add about the
Yeah.
knowledge base articles. Uh, One of my customer success managers had a concern like, Reggie, if we do migrate to Zendesk, how about the old links that had a Zendesk URL and the name of the knowledge base articles? So Pylon has a redirect function which is very easily manageable. So if they click on old links that had Zendesk URLs, it would redirect to Pylon easily. So it's very yeah, it's a simple setup between redirects from the old links to the new links. Now, when it comes to the timeline, I gave myself a month to make sure that everything is all set up. It took me around 3 weeks essentially to set up the business process, the mappings, and other use cases I discovered during the migration process. So I was able to give myself a week to do some testing with Franz, like what he was sharing a while ago. Like if we migrate 20 tickets, how would it look like? Yeah, we had to tweak some mappings, and I would say yes, it would be from
Do
my experience 1 month. Yes.
Yeah, do you think the setup, 3 weeks can, like, to some people that sounds long, to some people that sounds not that long. Do you think like the setup in Pylon is somewhat intuitive, where like setting up these triggers, or I mean, I know that you're smart, Reggie, but do you think like is that something that you need an engineer for or not necessarily? Like is that something, it's like sometimes I talk to people and they think that it's like Salesforce, right? Where you need a Salesforce admin or consultant to migrate you through or like guide you through a 3 months process. Is that your experience, or like how is that for you?
No. So I did it all by myself. Um, I'll put it this way. It's like a mirror. Like whatever you have in Zendesk, like for example, the triggers, you can do with Pylon. And user experience is great in Pylon when you try to create those triggers, like with the beautiful flow charts. If this is triggered, this is what happens next. So it's very easy to navigate. So yes, to your point, Franz, it's not like Salesforce where you need a consultant. You can do it yourself. And it was basically, I was the only one doing the migration myself to make sure that, yes, everything is set up for Pylon. So yeah.
Yeah. And maybe to touch on that, you said it's like a mirror. I think that holds true to some extent, although we do have like functionalities that, for instance, you can use AI in a trigger, right? And
Oh,
like
yes.
evaluate the issue. So like I think when we are like like usually this also touches on like in association with that, maybe you can touch on the relationship between the two of us during the migration, where like what was my role in that migration, given that you know, right, like as you mentioned, you did all of the setup yourself. What was my role? And like, I don't know, was it just, you know, um, calling you here and then, seeing how it is going, or
Oh,
like,
yes.
what was my role?
Yeah. So yes, Franz was, yeah, he was there. Uh, I would say to help me guide like some of the use cases that I had. Like I think really the thing that really resonated with me was that chat workflow. Like we were there, step by step. Franz, what do you think about this setup I had for routing my L1 chats correctly? Uh, so yeah, we did have some checklists that Reggie, have you done this? Or Reggie, I can help you maybe improve like a workflow from Zendesk carried over to Pylon. And I can share one thing that I discovered with some of the triggers, France, was reopens of a ticket, right? We all know we measure reopen rate, and let's say we close a ticket and a customer comes back and says thank you. That will damage our reopen rate. And one of the things that cool things, France, that you guys did mention was try using conditional statements with an AI. So you just describe to the AI if the customer is just saying thank you or didn't mention that it's not fixed, or if it's fixed, just keep it closed and let the customer know that, hey, thank you, customer, and then we're keeping this closed. That's one of the cool things about triggers where AI is embedded. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think 100% it's a great use case. I think what is cool is you know you could theoretically do something similar in Zendesk where you have like a string match, like let's say customer reaches out and mentions thank you, but what you cannot do is like like an actual, I guess, semantic or like check, or like a content check where you just describe to AI if someone is grateful, or if someone reaches out to say thank you, then do this, for instance, which is just expands the scope between just a simple string match.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Definitely. The AI reads the ticket itself, like the response, based on it's like me giving instructions to the AI agent. Like, and then the AI agent interprets the last response from the customer. So yeah.
So now you set up everything, you tested everything, data migration is ready to go. All these milestones we can check off. Um, how was the cut over? I mean, this is always a little, finicky. You don't want any downtime. Um, how did that go for you? And then the days after, yeah, I guess that is kind of associated with the level of preparation that you do. But how did that go?
Just Francis, to echo back, it's the migration day, like
Yes, yes,
I
yes.
see.
When you turn off Zendesk and you turn on Pylon.
yes, I can speak more to that. So that was a very nerve-wracking day because everything was moving. So I had my engineers ready, my DevOps team ready for anything that can happen. And what I can say is nothing happened. I'm very
Hey,
thankful for Franz and his team to be on standby, and also the engineering team from my end. What happened during that day is we flipped the switch and we were migrating the old tickets at the same time. It didn't disrupt new incoming chats that were coming in. So the team was it was like business as usual.
yeah,
So Pylon was working behind the scenes to migrate the old tickets. We were still uh, servicing customers as nothing was happening in the background. And let me share something more, friends, which is very cool as well. When customers use a chat widget, we have an authentication that happens where they need to be able to log in to good time. And from there, our DevOps engineer was able to write some code based on the knowledge base from Pylon, how to make sure that when users log into good time, they're authenticated and they can chat. And one of the cool things about that authentication is customers can see their chat history when they click on that chat button. And also, one thing to add is my team, the support engineering team, doesn't need to ask, hey, what's your email or what's your name? They can skip some steps in terms of servicing customers. So yeah, going back to that day, it was smooth sailing. It was business as usual, and yeah, while the migration, like the backlog, was being migrated to Pylon.
yeah, yeah. Cool. So if you look back at that 4 weeks process, what are some learnings? Like, what are the good and the bad that I touched on at the beginning, or what are things that turned out to be a bit more difficult than you expected, and what are things that went smoother than you expected, or maybe everything was as expected? That could also be. What are the lessons here?
Yeah, I would say if I would debrief and to your point, learnings, I would focus on the business process. That was one of the where
Yeah.
I really spent a lot of time testing, perfecting with you friends. If there was a problem, I would, reach out to you friends. Hey, what's wrong with this trigger? Why did it trigger? And you would point me to like some of the logs, which is great with Zendesk. You can see uh, branches on where it went, like why did it result in that branch in the trigger page. And yeah, I would say it's more on the business process side. The
Yeah.
mapping you were describing, 30 minutes, we're done. Uh, but the trigger your everybody's business process triggers in Zendesk, that will really take time because you have to
Yes.
test.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. I think this is something that customers or where the emphasis is a little bit off, or people underestimate how important that is for their success in a platform. And I also think it's always a good, you start off fresh. So all the like legacy issues that you currently have in your legacy system, you don't want to just import them into Pylon. So it's a natural starting point to think through these flows again. And then usually that's much more complex than just building a trigger. So you start off with like, what are my pain points right now, because we don't want to import them. You're like, okay, what are the solutions for that? And then you also have to you ideally set them up, or we recommend that you have a great setup when you go live, so that you don't 3 months in have the same problems that you have in your old system. So I definitely that resonates a lot. I
Yeah,
feel I feel the process migration is by far the one that should, maybe
yeah,
like time wise, it's almost like 70% should be process migration, 10% or like, and then 15-15 or something like that
yeah,
for the other two.
yeah. And what's cool, friends, is on the trigger page, automation page in Pylon, it gives you already recipes, which is great.
Yeah.
Very easy to follow. Like one more use case to share with the audience is the bumping of pending in, like in Zendesk, it's pending tickets, right? we bump those tickets back to open if we haven't heard back from the customer. And Pylon has that recipe as well, and you can tweak it to your liking. But with good time, we give them 7 days, where we bump it like, hey, it keeps it as pending or on customer. Like, hey, we're
Yeah.
just checking in. Do you have any more questions? And then the seventh day, we close the ticket.
Imagine you're replying within seconds and then the customer lets you wait for 7 days.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. So that was a cool thing. So it's efficiency with the support team. Like you
yes,
don't have to when
yes,
it
you're right.
or if it bumps back to open, it will stay open, and the support engineer needs to go back and write, hey, how are you guys doing? Just checking in. But with the automations, its efficiency is what um, we're
It's
taking care.
exactly. It's just less context switching where you just have your board. You don't have to like manually go through waiting on customer and follow up with them. It just
Yeah,
bumps it back to you automatically, and you can just, you don't have to think about it that much. You just have that queue that you can work through.
yeah.
Um, Cool. So let's go to the next slide and look into, okay, what changed after going live in Pylon? We talked about the migration, we talked about the cutover. What about post cutover? How's the experience for the team right after, and then also, I guess, a couple months in?
Yes, I believe I touched on some of the like immediate, I would
Yeah,
say, improvements. I'll put it that way. Was authentication via the chat widget, which is a big, I think, plus for the team, to make sure that we're not getting random customers that just if they have
yeah,
access to the chat widget in, let's say, in your knowledge base web page where anyone can just chat in. If you require them to be a real customer, they need to authenticate first. Uh, and and another thing to point out also is like the reasoning, like the AI reasoning that helps my team maybe look back to a previous resolution and apply it. Knowledge-based generation is also part of my team's KPI to create articles so that they also are able to impact the team in a way that they contribute to the overall like resolution times of the team. One cool feature with Pylon is if a support engineer flagged as, hey, this needs an article, there's like a section in the sidebar that says generate an article based on the ticket, and it will already generate an article for you, and you can just do some minor tweakings, and that already counts as towards their KPI. And it only took
okay.
maybe less than 2 minutes. So that those are the some of the things that are, I think, um, improvement. And one more thing to point out, friends, is the seamless way of reaching out internally, right? The goal is to have them use Pylon. I mean, they can still use Slack. We use Slack internally. But one of the cool things is if I need to reach out to the product team, I can just simply work in Pylon. And the cool part there is all conversations between the product managers are stored in the ticket in Pylon. So you don't have to link that, oh, this ticket came from this thread in Slack. So no more
Yeah,
linking. It's all preserved in that ticket.
much cleaner, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Nice. And then let's see. Any other points? I think we touched on Jira, we touched on Salesforce. How does the team like, I think I asked that before, but do you get active, like, I guess, do you get active feedback from the team about Pylon? Like, is there anything that they don't like, maybe that they didn't expect, or that they're missing from Zendesk?
So one of the feedbacks I got from the team was when they're working on a ticket. I think it's more of like they want to expand the screen, like
Mm,
full screen. But I know that I was able to coach them on, hey, there's like an expand button that you can put it
yeah.
uh, like bigger on your screen. But so far, friends, there has been no major feedback. Like I wish we were back in Zendesk, sort of comments. But they
Yeah.
loved. Pylon, because of
Okay.
the functionality and the modern UI or the user experience versus I would say in Zendesk everything is I would say siloed.
Mm.
Where if I'm working on tickets, if I'm working on my dashboards, it would open up a new tab. It's like it's separated or siloed. And one more thing to point out also, friends, is when it comes to reporting, creating your dashboards with your reports is very easy as well, and it looks nice. With Zendesk, I also had difficulty like how to resize or where did this report come from. So it's a little bit tricky
Yeah.
to set up in Zendesk versus Pylon. It's very intuitive. I put it that way.
And that's especially important for you as a manager who
Yeah,
like doesn't directly work the queue, but are you more like you have an observer role, that you then like, make sure that the team is performing,
yeah,
or like trending into the right direction.
correct.
Um, Sweet, Reggie. Looking forward, what are things that you're going to build in the next 3 months? How do you think about AI and your support team going forward? Um, yeah, is there anything that I can help you with? No,
Yeah,
we do like I also happen to engage a lot with AI agent deployments. So within Pylon, since we also offer that. But I'll let you speak to that. Like, what's your like short to midterm plan? Um, yeah,
yes. We would like to take advantage more on the AI agent aspect. Right now, it's as a backup, which is great. Having the AI agent attempt to resolve customer
yeah,
issues. So I'm interested more to learn about runbooks, more on routing, like if the AI agent wasn't able to resolve it, you know, to how to route it to the right team. So that's something I'd like to explore more deeply so that we can
yeah.
try to help customers more and be more efficient and streamline that process. So yeah, I mean, I would lean into your friends for any. I know you mentioned about some more cool features on the AI front. So that
Yes.
is, yeah,
Exactly, exactly. I think one thing that we like maybe touching on that we've seen with customers, especially when they are a little bit larger, is they first migrate to Pylon. So just like as you described it, mirroring. So you want to get up your support org up and running in Pylon.
yeah,
And then once the dust settles and a couple weeks in, we're like, okay, everything is stable, we feel confident in Pylon. Then we usually see like additional products being rolled out or like implemented, such as account intelligence and AI agents. So what is that? AI agents, we touched on that already. So essentially, Pylon, for everyone who doesn't know, has two distinct AI features. One is AI assistant, which helps your human agents that which comes pretty much out of the box. So that's what you referenced, or like when you said issue summaries, like draft a reply, things like to just get a quick overview of the issue, or like draft a reply in an issue where human is always in the loop. And then you have AI agents that fully autonomously run, which means like no human is in the loop. These answers are directly sent if you want to the customer. And part of that is runbooks, which you can think about as like a cooking recipe or recipe, like in order of steps that the AI agent follows when resolving a ticket. So AI agents are a bit more complicated to set up and like heavily depend on your use cases and the type of tickets that you um, get as an organization. And therefore, usually we don't try to overload this whole migration process with another implementation of like kind of additional tool. That's why we sequence that. And then account intelligence is the latter, or like the part that I'm most excited about. So Pylon ingests a lot of data from your like support tickets, and you can connect your call recorder, you can bring Salesforce fields in, and then within Pylon then kind of operates as a hub for all that context, to aggregate all of that context. So you can think of like your customer success manager to like live in Pylon and then create like risks, like for instance, like uh, health scores or account notebooks that they can reference. They can use that for prep calls. They can use that for quarterly business reviews. They can use that to maintain a healthy book of business. And like the cool thing is, like there are tools that do that standalone. The uniqueness of Pylon is that we have all of that context that from the support um, ankle or from the support side of things as well. So, feature requests are being voiced through support tickets. And then we can pick all of that up, we aggregate it and like give you a holistic 360 overview of the customer. I think those are the things that I'm excited about, and we will be building much more in that direction. I think I don't think that's the case. Our AI agents also get a little bit of a like makeover, or like they will become even better. So I'm excited for that. But cool, thank you. Anything else you want to get off your chest, Reggie, before we go to the Q&A?
Yes. I remember when you were trying to make a distinction between AI assistants and AI agent. Touching upon on the AI assistants, you mentioned about drafting a reply to customers, right? One of the workflows I ask my super engineers, I call them wrap up notes. Like after the chat or the email, what have you done? And I tried experimenting with this, like using the Ask AI functionality, like, hey, wrap up my wrap up notes. So there's already a template I already created within Pylon, and it did create the answers for each of those bullet items I had. Like I have a template for my support engineers, and did it for them. So what would take maybe 3 minutes to create a wrap up notes after the chat, 30 seconds or maybe a minute, just to tweak some of the answer. So that's also one cool feature. I think that to really make the separation between Zendesk and Pylon is the AI capabilities of Pylon, which the team is enjoying
Yeah,
very much. So thank you, Franz, for helping us
awesome.
migrate.
Yeah, anytime. I think you were a great a champion on the good time side. That was really on top of setting things up in a proper way. Cool. Let's see. Let's jump to the Q&A. I'll look through the questions here. And then please feel free to send more questions in the chat if you have some. How long does the mapping process take? Is it possible to migrate to your platform on your own? Um, Okay, that's a bunch of questions. Okay, so first one, how long does the mapping process take? So if we just think about bringing the data in, like data fields, that's like pure data migration. That is probably half an hour. We partner with a migration vendor for that, so that also answers if we use an internal migration tool. We partner with we have a partner for that that are specialized in this, you know, flow of bringing data from one support system to another one, and therefore they're specialized in that. We have a good relationship with them, and bringing like that all works very smooth. The point that takes a little bit more time is sometimes like you don't just want to bring everything over from Zendesk. You want to kind of clean the house and think, okay, which fields on tickets do I need? Which fields on organizations do I need? Which fields on contacts do I actually need in order to, not bring in any like stale or legacy fields that just clutter your instance and make the life hard for your agents. Is it possible to migrate to your platform on your own? Yes. So we're not like, you don't have to work with us to get up and running. We recommend that because it's a smoother experience and better, especially for larger organizations. If you're adamant on doing this yourself, we have API endpoints that you can leverage to populate that data, like just for the data migration piece. And then the other parts are also like you don't necessarily need me to set up your processes, your integrations, anything else. Okay, next one. What do your automated resolution stats look like when with Pylon compared to Zendesk? So we have a out of the box overview of SLAs and like, first response time, very much the like an out of the box overview for everyone to leverage, and then also have the ability to set up custom analytics if you need anything beyond that. I'm not too familiar with what Zendesk offers in terms of analytics or reporting capabilities. I do think that we have quite advanced ones that you can bend and leverage to the needs that you have. Maybe Reggie, you can chime in here. I don't know if there's anything that comes out of the box from the Zendesk side. You've seen both systems. Yeah.
Yeah, when it comes to automated resolution, like Caitlin, is it more? If, I'm assuming it's more on like if the AI agent or the bot was able to
I see.
resolve. Um,
We have dedicated resolution times as well as dashboards that show you the performance of AI agents. So such as like how many tickets have been touched, how many tickets have been resolved. Yeah, assist rate is what we leverage because the AI agent can help many folds and not just in deflection, especially in B2B in the B2B context. Yeah, maybe you have other thoughts on that, but yeah.
Yeah. When it comes to stats, I would have to refresh my memory on the exact number, like how many tickets the bot resolved in Zendesk. But when it comes to product questions like how does this work? Where can I find this? The Zendesk bot was able to help resolve those. But when it comes to the more complicated ones, that's when it would uh, route to a support engineer. Now with Pylon, that is something that's in for me Q3 to implement the agent, the agentic AI part or the bot from Pylon. So hopefully I get more stats as I try to manage. I put it this way: managing the bot and managing the live support engineers is already part of my description. So making sure
Yeah.
that the bot is saying the right things and pointing them to the right areas, and then routing or escalating as needed. So that is coming soon, and I'm excited to dig in more on that when it comes to resolutions made by the agent bot in Pylon.
Perfect. And then last question, what was the transition like for your actual agents? How did you prepare them for it? Did they have any feedback regarding the transition that stood out to you, Reggie?
I can take that. Yes. So the transition, there are, I would say, start. I would say startup articles in Pylon, which I shared. Franz, if you can refresh my memory,
Mhm.
like you gave me some links to those. Yeah, if you were new to Pylon, these are
Yeah.
the articles you would give them. So I also had to do like during the migration period, that 1 month period is, creating, I would say, Loom videos, and then for the team, and then transforming those to knowledge based articles very quickly. Just a tip or pro tip, hopefully, that would be helpful for everyone. When you try to demonstrate something in Loom or in video, you can just get a transcript and then use AI to create an article based on what you've shared. And that helped me quickly create those written articles alongside with the training videos. And they were very quick because they were already used to Zendesk. So the transition between Zendesk and Pylon, there was not much difference. Yeah.
Okay. Great. We're coming up on time here, Chase. I see your question. We have done these migrations before previously where you just use parts of Pylon and we're familiar with the flow, so nothing to be worried about here. Um, I don't know. Is the answer. Yes, happy to chat through the AI capabilities as well. But yeah, I think this is something that we can discuss after the webinar as well. But to answer your question, yes, we have done that before. Cool. Closing remarks. This was fun. Reggie, I had a great time. It's kind of a chat with a friend. It was great to catch up. You were a great champion on the good time side. I wish everyone would be as easy going. And, I always keep saying like, do this, do that. And then sometimes people do it, sometimes they don't, but that, that worked very well. So thanks a lot for joining. Anything else that you want to share with the audience before we wrap it up?
Yes, I can definitely share one final take. Yeah. I mean, for me personally, guys, it was really difficult for me to let go of Zendesk. Uh, I've used it for 15 years, very comfortable. And yeah, change can be hard, but, France and the Pylon team, they gave me confidence in migrating to Pylon, by providing those demos, the use cases I had for them, they were ready. But ultimately, it was also the great partnership I had with friends. And shout out to the Pylon team for answering those very specific questions that I had. Because yeah, I'm very meticulous when it comes to transitions and writing down I would say the worst case scenarios. But it was a very smooth process. And yeah, if you guys are looking to Pylon, I would highly recommend it. It's a very powerful tool.
Ah, music in my ears. Thank you so much, Reggie. And to everyone else, enjoy the rest of your day, and then hopefully see you soon in a migrations related call. Okay.